The question is that the honourable member have leave to bring in the bill. Sir Hugo Swire.
Here.
Madam Deputy Speaker, I rise to oppose this bill and should start by drawing the House's attention to my chairmanship of the Conservative Middle East Council. Madam Deputy Speaker, the British Government has already agreed to a proper review of the Palestinian curriculum that's due to report by September this year. And surely it must make sense to wait for that investigation to run its course and only then consider, when we've seen all the evidence, whether there is any need to legislate on this difficult matter. But it's worth pointing out and reminding the House that according to DFID themselves, no UK taxpayers' money to the Palestinian Authority goes to schools or to fund education materials that incite violence. And I'm not completely, I don't completely understand where the Honourable Lady is coming from, whether she wants to assess the overall curriculum and the textbooks used by the Palestinian Authority, or whether she wants to assess each individual's teaching and curriculum and interpretation of this. In 2013, a team of American, Israeli, Palestinian and international education experts carried out a study funded by the US State Department. The study found dehumanizing or demonizing is rare in both Palestinian and Israeli textbooks. Madam Deputy Speaker, with UNRWA facing its greatest financial crisis ever and the PA nearing a financial breakdown, surely this is not the time to add pressure by making further cuts. Both the PA and UNRWA are in serious financial trouble after the completely misguided recent US termination of support for UNRWA and of its wider assistance to the Palestinians, as well as new Israeli legislation aiming to withhold Palestinian clearance revenues as of 2019. Madam Deputy Speaker, according to DFID, in 2018, UK financial assistance to the Palestinian Authority has paid the salaries of up to 39,000 teachers, doctors, nurses, midwives and other health and education public servants in the West Bank and Ramallah. These staff have immunised up to 3,700 children and provided around 185,000 medical consultations annually and, incidentally, educated around 24,000 young Palestinians. So, if the Department of International Development, and I'd be very interested to hear my right honourable friend the Minister's answer to this, if they were to withdraw funding for education, as is suggested, this would of course inevitably create a vacuum. And in the law of unintended consequence, I think people need to be very aware of who might fill that vacuum. Countries such as Qatar, who could well exploit the vacuum created if DFID were to withdraw its funding, and we all know what the inevitable results of that could be. Madam Deputy Speaker, no one in this House would doubt that education is a major tool for international development. Most Israelis I know pride education almost above everything else, not least because of its ability to transform lives. And I think many of the moderate Israelis I know would be appalled by a suggestion that this funding were to be cut. Once, when I was in Jerusalem, when I was a Minister of State in the Northern Ireland office, and we took a group of loyalists, former loyalist paramilitaries, to Jerusalem to talk about reconciliation and living together and alongside each other, I took time off and visited the Hand-in-Hand school, the Max Rain funded school, the Jerusalem school, where Jewish Arabs are funded, Jews and Arabs are funded and are educated alongside each other. A shared education. That surely is something we should be concentrating on rather than penalising the Palestinians, who after all are penalised enough as it is at the moment. It seems to me, to those of us who are genuinely committed to a two-state solution, who are genuinely concerned for the plight of the Palestinians, not least in Gaza, but we'll talk about that at some other point, but to those of us who really do actually fundamentally believe that the best hope for the people of that region, and indeed peace in the wider world, and actually do want a two-state solution, do want some solution, rather than just subscribe to the vague concept of it by kicking the ball ever forwards to avoid actually having to address it. To those of us who are in this House genuinely committed to justice for the Palestinians alongside justice for the Israelis, I think this would be a regressive step indeed. Indeed, we should be looking towards better ways of supporting a stable Palestinian Authority which can act as that creative partner for peace with Israel and preparing the ground for a two-state solution before that is finally too late.
Hear, hear.